Hello and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields, welcoming you all to another edition of Kalkine TV's Executive Corner Expert Talks. Now, with the advancement of blockchain technology, businesses now need to adapt to the changing dynamics to optimize revenue growth. And here to share more on the opportunities and challenges of the space is Michael Gord, the founder and CEO of GTA Capital, a global venture creation and capital advisory firm with blockchain tech development and broker-dealer capabilities. Welcome to the show, Michael. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, first of all, I'd like to ask you, in your opinion, what are the ways in which businesses can adopt blockchain technology to boost their overall revenue growth?
The blockchain essentially represents the next iteration of the internet. And with the internet, there was a marketing stack that enterprises or individuals could participate in. So there was website, there's email, there's social. Social, you could break that up into different categories. There's search, there's blogs, there's CRMs, there's newsletters, and you wouldn't necessarily do all of those immediately, but that was the new marketing stack that was available in the internet. With the blockchain now, there's utility coins, there's security coins, there's NFTs, there's the metaverse, there's DeFi, and yield farming. So there's this new marketing stack that is now available for businesses to better engage their audience and ultimately drive revenue to their business.
That's interesting that you mentioned. So it sounds like marketing is the big one for you there in terms of getting traction, in terms of getting an audience. Is that it's interesting how that the blockchain sort of affects that area there. You mentioned NFTs, I believe. Is there a particular way you think that sort of SMEs, even rather than just large businesses, can optimize marketing with blockchain technology to get ahead?
Yeah, same. I think the same stack. The earlier you participate in your niche, the better. In 1990, we could have been talking about the internet and whether there was a value proposition for a cat food store to create a website, catfood.com. And is there a market for catfood.com on the internet? And my answer would have been yes. And the same thing is with the blockchain. Catfood.com or a cat food network on the blockchain might not be as valuable as a social, the new social networks or the new search engines or the new financial institutions, but any and every business can drive value by being an early adopter of this new technology.
Do you think that there's any hurdles in the way with the perhaps expenses or with knowledge, prerequisite knowledge?
Knowledge is learnable, and expenses, things can be, it depends on how you want to do something, right? Like if we're going back to the internet, to create a really complicated website like Facebook might cost you millions of dollars, but to create a landing page might be something you could learn yourself, or it might be something that is on YouTube, is something that you could watch a tutorial video and change up the text. Creating a mobile application might be quite expensive, but to consider mobile as a new medium for commerce that is being adopted might be quite cheap. Or creating Facebook might be quite expensive, but to create a Facebook page might be free. So it's the same principles with blockchains.
Very well said there. I think there are actually a lot of cost-effective, if not free, avenues that perhaps even the small businesses can get in on. So I think quite well said. And yes, I think you are right with the knowledge. Anything can be learned, and especially as the technology is spread more mainstream, I'd say it's definitely plenty of opportunities there for education when it comes to business owners. Now, I understand that you provide a turnkey approach to your clients. What exactly do you mean by that?
I've been working with blockchains for just about the past decade, so we have quite a lot of experience with introducing projects to market. So an organization can come to us with a need, whether it's the creation of a utility coin, a security coin, an NFT. They want to get exposure to the metaverse. They want to really, whatever they're looking for, we probably have experience with doing end to end and actually executing on.
It's interesting. What's it like to sort of keep up with the technology, a bunch of, like you mentioned, that evolves just so rapidly, like the metaverse, for example?
Very difficult to stay up to date with everything. The metaverse, I had the good fortune of being one of the earliest adopters of. We started a business called Metaverse Group 2 years ago, well before it was cool. Now it's going pretty viral. But I think the best way to stay on top of things is to have a wide network of people that are building. So your mind share is not yourself, or your your ability to access information is through the ecosystem, not just in your head.
Right, and it's quite interesting that you mentioned that as well, especially going back to what you said about getting in there early. I think it's very crucial in the metaverse, for example. A lot of businesses are buying up virtual property, which I'm sure you're well aware of. It's it's a bit pricey now, but I can imagine in a few years' time it's going to be even more expensive. Do you think that's a good bet that you'd recommend for businesses to venture upon?
Right now, the metaverse, just Decentraland, actually grew from 15,000 users at the beginning of 2021 to 600,000 users in December. 40x growth. The way networks work is that they double, so the growth should accelerate. But if we're conservative and the growth slows down and it only does a times 20 growth per year, or even times 10 growth per year, still in a few years, every person on Earth is going to be in the metaverse. And right now, New York City or Sydney, Australia, or whatever city has, let's say 5 to 20 million maximum people in their city at any one time. And although New Yorkers like to say that New Yorkers don't sleep, actually New Yorkers have to sleep sometimes. The metaverse is really 24 hours a day. So if there are hundreds of millions of users of the metaverse, which is inevitable just by math, if this math just continues, which in my opinion is certain, then it's reasonably likely that there's more than 20 million users at any single time, 24 hours a day, because the entire world is participating. And how valuable is owning real estate in a city that has more than 20 million eyeballs at one time from around the world with the ability to drive commerce literally 24 hours a day?
I think you're on the money there. I mean, those are ambitious estimates, but I think we're going to see that those very figures in a few years. And I think it does go back to marketing as well, and the eyeballs you're talking about. That's a lot of opportunity right there. And I think we're seeing at the moment that it really is, as you mentioned, any business you can get in on this. I mean, I think just recently was JP Morgan, the US bank that bought some property in Decentraland. So they really are flocking to this virtual real estate.
Every and any business will want to participate, same as any and every business will want to participate in the internet. Being the first makes it the most likely that you rank first on Google, that you show up, that you go viral in the business news, technology news, blockchain news, your industry news. If you're the 15,000th bank to join the internet, you're not going to be on the first page of Google unless you pay a lot in advertising.
Right, exactly. Very good point there. Get in there early and just start, I would say, is exactly as you put it. And just to circle back to GDA, I should say, capital, just a bit, could you share a bit with us about your successful partnerships that you made recently?
So I would say that most of a lot of our partners are investors that we co-invest with. We also recently announced a partnership with a new metaverse called Aftermath Islands, which is Pretty exciting because it gives us the opportunity to kind of at the ground level build out a metaverse.
That's incredible. And do you expect more of those partnerships will come your way this year?
I think that right now, I think for sure right now, there are 4 operating metaverses and maybe 20 that are building. To me, that sounds like there's 4 websites, 20 that are building websites, but the future of the internet is millions of websites. The metaverse is just the immersive internet. There will be millions of metaverse worlds that are all interoperable. So as we go from 20 builders to 1 million builders, I think that the value we can provide as, a group that has been doing this from the beginning is, gonna provide value to new metaverse founders for sure.
That's great to hear. And I'd love to know what it takes in terms of financing these metaverses. I mean, I'm sure they are ever expanding and expansive. And what does that look like as a financer of these projects?
Interestingly, I like to compare the internet. I think it's more relatable. In the internet revolution, .coms financed by selling equity. The metaverse provides the ability to, but with .coms, the only way to monetize was by selling advertising or by commerce, actually transacting through your website. The metaverse now provides the ability for early entrepreneurs to sell pixels of their website, to sell real estate in their world. So it's not cheap. The earlier you start, the more complicated it might be or the more unique the knowledge might be to create these worlds. There is certainly transferable skills, like game developers definitely have a head start, but putting a game onto the blockchain with provably owned land is a little bit different than doing it in a centralized way. But there is now like the ability to sell land, sell pixels of your website, is, in my opinion, a much better way of financing. And then you also, of course, have equity in the ability to sell advertising space and to do commerce, which drives revenue. So selling land is an immediate way to drive revenue. And I would say something to think about for any of the entrepreneurs, or just anyone in the audience that might be interested. There was a metaverse company, Infinite Worlds, that went public last year. And I didn't follow the public offering to see what happened afterwards, but it had $1 million of revenue going public at $1 billion valuation. So a times 1,000 multiple, which might or might not be crazy, but that's the reality of the potential that people see in the metaverse. So if you're considering where to spend your mind share and, where to invest your time, a times 1,000 public market opportunity to me sounds like a good place to spend my time.
I have to agree with you there. It's definitely a very lucrative space, and that growth potential is just exponential, it seems, at the moment. And there's definitely a lot of ways businesses and individuals as well can capitalize on this growing sector. But with that said, just before we wrap up now, is there anything else we can expect to see from GDA Capital this coming year? Anything we can look forward to?
There's a lot, for sure. Thing I'm most excited about right now, I've been talking about the metaverse a lot. I'm pretty excited about the metaverse. So Decentraland announced that about a month ago that they're doing the Metaverse Fashion Week, which will be annual. It's going to happen on one of our estates in Fashion Street. So there's 28 name brand stores, some of the biggest in the world, that are participating. There's 20, as I think I just mentioned, there's 28 official brands. That's happening the end of March. I believe the brands are being announced in the next few days or week. And I think that as that is announced and comes to market, the confidence level in the metaverse is going to continue to grow exponentially, and the demand to participate from all of these retail brands, competitors, and retail, of course, is quite viral. It's not just the brands, it's the models, it's the designers, it's the photographers, and they all have quite large reaches. I think that the exponential growth curve will just increase.
I don't doubt that, and that is very exciting to hear. I'm sure even as a viewer, they're very eager to tune into that. A lot of potential there, as you mentioned, so we'll definitely keep our eye on that this coming March. But apart from that, thanks very much for sharing your insights today, Michael. It's been really great touching base with you. Thanks for joining us on Executive Corner Expert Talks.
Awesome. Thanks, Holly.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for your time as well, viewers. If you've just joined us, that was Michael Gord, the founder and CEO of GDA Capital. As we say here, stay apprised and invest wise, Kalkine.